One, and welcome back to the Hold for Hold podcast channel, whatever I'm calling this nowadays. We are back today for our AEW Dynamite review. Very stacked show, and surprisingly, not as stacked as it will be next week. It was just a really good Dynamite right out of the gate. I'm just going to talk a little bit about overall what I felt like the Dynamite was, and I felt it was good. um, Honestly, it kind of flew by. We had a couple of important matches and a couple of really important segments, mostly centered around the Elite and Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage storyline going on here. So, got some updates on that, which are pretty big. Can't wait to talk about that. But I guess we should just jump right into this thing. Tonight we had CM Punk on commentary for most of the night, so he comes out first. Crowd loves him, of course. He does that stage dive he normally does now. He did it to the right side. He goes ringside, claps some hands, the whole deal, gets on commentary. That leads us into our first match of the night, Adam Cole and Franky Kazarian. This is Adam Cole's in-ring debut. He's got some new gear, a new jacket. Crowd absolutely pops for Adam Cole's music. Surprised he came out first, to be honest. And yeah, I like the new gear. It's not my favorite of his. I think my favorite gear of his was his Undisputed Era of like forest green, like that matte green he had. And I think he even used it as a solo gear in one match against O'Reilly. But this one's pretty fun. It's got the black and white thing going on, and I think it's just a little too busy on the jacket. But other than that, no big complaints. Punk on commentary says Cole started wrestling because of him, so that was a pretty big accusation. I don't know if that's true. Um, he also says that he will step into the ring with Adam Cole eventually, so something to look forward to there. We get a little back and forth to start off the match, some trading arm drags. Franky gets dropped out of the ring, like back suplexed out of the ring, and a really scary spot. He kind of nails his head on that apron, and commentary does a great point of selling it. Back in the ring, Franky Kazarian locks in like this pretzel hold that he's got Cole in. It looks pretty effective. Cole, they said he couldn't tap out. He had to tap out with his foot. He's got them all done up there, and Cole eventually gets his feet out, starts kicking at Franky, gets him to break the hold. Immediately transition into an Ishigoroshi. Adam Cole tuning up the band for a sweet chin music attempt, doesn't get it. He's blocked. Franky turns him around, hits him into the corner face first, does an O'Connor German suplex. It looked pretty good, like Chad Gable's finish. That gets him a 2. Franky looks for the chicken wing sleeper hole, can't get it. Cole rolls through, then hits a really loud super kick that woke the crowd up. Cole looks for a Panama Sunrise, but it gets reversed into an Alabama Slam, which I hate seeing an Alabama Slam. It just looks so dangerous. But it looked okay here. It wasn't too bad. We get that slingshot leg drop from Franky Kazarian onto Cole for a 2. Then these two start just trading tired forearms back and forth. We get a pump kick from Cole, and that rebounds Franky off the ropes. He nails a lariat. And then we get another Ishigoroshi from Adam Cole out of nowhere for 2. And here at the finish, Cole counters a leg drop with a Panama Sunrises. He exposes that knee pad and hits the last shot for 3. Fun opening match. Really enjoyed seeing Adam Cole wrestle again. And great opponents to start off with. You got a veteran like Franky in there with them. You can't really ask for a better opening match there. Immediately following the match, we get a story time with Adam Cole. He says hope is a dangerous thing and that the locker room hopes they can keep up with the Elite, but they can't. He says 3 guys have gotten under his skin, Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy, and he challenges them to a 6-man tag between them and himself with the Young Bucks, and he says it, the Super Click is back, baby. Very excited for that match. That's going to be possibly a show stealer. And the announcement of the Super Click being back is something I know everyone wanted to see, and it's going to really play a role into seeing the future of the Elite. So following that, we get Lucha Bros versus the Butcher and the Blade promo for Rampage. A good little back and forth promo saying how they used to be allies and now that Lucha Bros have the championships, they're the target of the Butcher and the Blade. From there, we get a Fuego del Sol promo. He has seemingly bought a new car, him and Sammy Guevara sitting on top of the hood. And he says that he doesn't need this car. He's going to put his new car on the line for Miro's TNT Championship. And don't know if that was a smart decision. And it's announced for Rampage that Miro versus Fuego del Sol, car for title match. Interesting stipulation. Hope to see a longer match out of these two than we did the first time around. And yeah, I mean, Fuego's going to be leaving there on the bus, so unfortunate. CM Punk has a great call there where he's like, I told them I was going to teach the kids, and the first thing I'm going to do is teach them not to gamble. Next up, we go to a commercial break. We come back. We get an MJF promo. I haven't discussed really since I didn't discuss last week's Dynamite. This week's Dynamite, he followed the same thread of, berating Brian Pillman's family. And I'm not the biggest fan of it. I see a lot of people online saying that what he said was offensive, and it definitely is. I mean, it's not good. I'm not the biggest fan of that whole nickname he gave her. I'm not even going to say it on the air because I think it's really just wrong. I don't know. This just because of that alone, this whole feud isn't hitting for me the way I wish it would, because an MJF Brian Pillman Jr. feud is a big deal. It's getting Brian Pillman Jr. into a main event slot, even if he's just going to slide back down to the mid card. It's still elevating him, and I just wish that this wasn't the story behind it. MJF's gonna do these sneaky and underhanded tactics and everything else, but I just don't like these promos, honestly. But let's talk about it a little bit. He runs down the crowd in New Jersey, says he doesn't care that they were offended last week, and then he starts to talk to Pillman's dad, of course, Brian Pillman Sr., and he looks up and he starts talking, and then he immediately looks down, signifying that Pillman's in hell. And the crowd, I gotta give the crowd credit here. Major heat for MJF. And I don't know if it bordered on, go away heat or just normal heel heat. It's hard to tell with MJF promos. And I think that's one of the things he's best at is you can't give him X-Pac heat because he's going to turn it around on you. So you gotta give him props for that. But anyways, Brian Pillman's music hits. MJF starts yelling for Wardlow to meet him up the ramp. He just keeps repeating, meet him up the ramp, meet him up the ramp, meet him up the ramp. I really like that. I said it, I think, in my Raw recap. I like when wrestlers ad-lib and add conversational moments, and that's a good conversational moment. That shows us that they're on the same page. Well, not really. It shows us that MJF is just controlling everything. But anyways, Wardlow gets out the ring. He stands at the end of the ramp waiting for Brian to show up. Brian comes from behind with a steel chair, threatening to hit MJF with it. Wardlow makes his way back into the ring and snatches the steel chair from Pillman pretty easily, too. It looked pretty pathetic. They have a stare down, Wardlow and Pillman. Wardlow does the big man run towards them and gets the ropes pulled out from under him, so he goes tumbling to the outside. And Brian stands strong in the ring. It was a strong enough segment. I think the highlight for me personally for this segment was just MJF yelling at Wardlow to get at the bottom of the ramp. It's a simple line, maybe even a throwaway, but I enjoy that stuff a lot. It adds a lot to me. Immediately following that, we get a Pillman interview with JR. It's seemingly was a pre-recorded one. And again, I really wish I could like this. It's just, I just don't. They really try to paint out Brian Pillman as, he didn't come from privilege. His upbringing is why he is the man he is. In fact, he really says that. He hammers that point home. He says that MJF has never been in the ring with someone like him, a Pillman. Good. I mean, it was a good execution. I gotta give him his props. I felt like JR was just going on at the beginning, like, oh, you need to be ready to whoop MJF. You need to be able to. It didn't connect with me. The match is going to be good. So that's what I'm holding on hope for. The match is going to be good, and it might be the match that turns Wardlow on MJF. Don't know. AEW does like to do these stories a little bit longer down the line, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Wardlow turn. I think we're going to get Bryan and Wardlow first anyway, so that might drive the nail between Wardlow and MJF, because Wardlow's probably going to lose that match. Following that, we have a Jurassic Express with Christian Cage interview. Jungle Boy starts off the interview, starts to talk, and Christian immediately interrupts him, immediately cuts him off. It says the Elite dragged Cole out of developmental, and he said that you are already used to losing the Wednesday Night War, so what else does he have to prove? It was a good bit. I liked it. Is this signifying that, Jungle Express are going to either kick out Christian Cage or Christian Cage is going to take over? It's just continuing that thread, and I really like it. I thought Christian had a great one-liner with that, a couple good one-liners in this against Adam Cole, and I'm excited for that match. Like I said earlier, I think that's going to be a show stealer. Following up with that, go to commercial break, we come back. Dante Martin and Matt Sydal versus Dax Hartwood and Cash Wheeler from FTR, with Tully, of course, on the outside. We get a really hot start. FTR always go to hug each other at the beginning of their matches, and as soon as Dax goes to hug Cash, Matt Sydal comes in with a lot of roll-ups, just back and forth roll-ups. We get the tag into Dante for a double drop kick to Dax. Dante tries to jump into the ring, and Cash kicks his leg out like right in midair. It was a cool spot. He crashes down onto the apron. It was a good little spot there. Was a little telegraphed, but nonetheless pretty cool to see. Cash is tagged in. Him and Dante are chopping on the outside. Dante gets the hot tag to Matt. Matt and Dante hit a combination dive from the apron, which was a nice spot. Dante, I can't put this into words, but Dante is just good. I can watch this kid any day of the week. And FTR are personally my favorite tag team. So to see these guys go at it, that clash of styles, it was a really fun match. And my notes might not be so complete because I was really enjoying this. But yeah, FTR take control after that spot from the apron. And they're isolating Sydal. They get a sneaky tag, or Sydal gets a sneaky tag to Dante, and Dante hits a huge drop kick from the top rope, like a springboard drop kick from that top rope. Really fun spot there. We get another roll-up exchange from Dante and Wheeler this time, and Wheeler is powering up Dante for these roll-ups, like bridging out of roll-ups. I love to see it. Just good wrestling. We get a Hurricane Rana and a Sunset Flip double pin to FTR for 2. I believe that Dante hit a Sunset Flip over both men in FTR, and then Sydal came in and hits a Hurricane Rana pin, which really wouldn't have counted. Dante and Wheeler were still the legal man, but it's a fun spot nonetheless. Leading into the finish, Dante gets caught alone in the ring, and he's trying his best to avoid getting nailed with the big rig, but to no avail. He gets hit with the big rig for the win. Just fun match. This was almost my match of the night, but we'll see why later on. It wasn't. Just a good match between two different styles, and CM Punk on commentary really added a lot to this one, especially. And then following the match, we have CM Punk explaining the Suzuki incident to the crowd, which, well, I actually don't know if it was to the crowd. Well, at least to us at home, he was explaining the Suzuki incident, which I love that this is canon now. Following that, we get a Suzuki-Gun promo, Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki looking mean backstage. They show some footage of their New Japan days, specifically one match with the Firing Squad. Lance Archer says that they're going to be in a tag. They need a tag match to rectify the injustices of last week, so he officially challenges Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley to a tag match. That should be stiff and fun, and Lance Archer promised as much. Coming back to the arena now, the lights cut off suddenly, and commentary sells this really well. They just don't know what happened. And it's Malaki Black. He's sitting there on the ramp, crisscross, applesauce, and he makes his way down to the ring. He asks for, let me just discuss his outfit first. He's wearing that full black on black on black suit combo, but his suit has like a Grim Reaper's hood on it. Really thought that was a good outfit. I don't think anyone else did. I think it was fun to see him in a Grim Reaper's hood. He's got the nice makeup. It looked great. And that's about the best thing I can say about this segment, in my opinion, here. As it starts to break down from here, he asks for the members of the House of Black to stand up, and then he calls out Rosario Dawson, who's wearing some Cody merch in the front row. Yeah, this is where it all just starts to break down. He goes out to the floor. Rosario Dawson hops the barricade, kind of getting each other's face. Cody starts making his way down the arena steps, and as Malachi Black is distracted, turns his back, and Rosario jumps on his back. Kind of embarrassing, honestly. And then Cody just attacks from there. They go into the crowd, they brawl a bunch, and then we get to the commercial, and it's the last we see of them for the night. I'm really not into this feud anymore. I just, especially the way they brought Cody back in today, it feels, rushed. It wasn't even teased. It wasn't even a big deal that he's back, because if I'm not wrong, we hadn't seen him since he left his boot and since he got beat down after trying to basically retire. So I don't know. It was a little anticlimactic, and it kind of made Black look like a fool here. I'm just hoping. I'm just really hoping Cody doesn't win the rubber match, and Malachi can escape Cody Island. And I don't know what's next for Cody, honestly, and so we're gonna find out. Following that, we get an Anna Jay and Penelope Ford feud recap package. And then following that, not much here. I mean, just they don't like each other. That's basically it. Following that, we get an Anna Jay interview, and it basically becomes a Dark Order breaking down in front of us interview. As Dark Order start to argue, Evil Uno starts to look like he's the leader, but not everyone's on board with this. And finally, Anna Jay gets tired of it, and she says she doesn't even want them to come to her aid next week for her match with Penelope Ford, and her and Ty Conti leave the Dark Order behind, and they're in shambles. Here was the low of the night, right here. The Cody segment was nearly the low of the night, but here for me, this just didn't connect at all. Dan Lambert is in the ring already. Got a jobber entrance for everyone, and really such a shame that Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky have to be involved in this. They're just too talented for this. They should be in the tag division actually doing things. But anyways, Lambert starts to, run down the crowd, run down the AEW crowd, make fun of women in the crowd. It's just really tired at this point. Hager and Jericho calm down. They interrupt. Everyone's singing Fozzy, singing Jesus, sorry. And Lambert yells to cut off the music, but the crowd keeps singing it, which I was a little impressed because it was possibly the least prompt I've seen the AEW crowd sing this song. So kudos to them. We get a verbal back and forth between Jericho and Lambert. Jericho refers to his fights with Brock Lesnar and Goldberg as part of his credentials, and that Hager is undefeated in MMA fights. And the crowd is really dead for this. I was especially surprised when he brings up Brock and Goldberg, not so subtly, and the crowd give no reaction. And this thing kind of just fizzles out. We are going to get a Jericho Hager versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky match, I believe next week, which I guess is going to be good. I don't know. As long as Lambert doesn't have to do another in-ring promo, I guess it's fine. Following that, we have a Gunn Club promo, which is probably the first time I've heard Billy Gunn talk in I don't even know when. I couldn't tell you the last time he said anything other than in like those Botchamania compilations, him saying he's gonna knock someone's ass. But anyways, Gunn Club promo, he says that they've been overlooked and they're all undefeated in tag and trios matches. Solid point. And that's why they turned on Paul White, not the Big Show. That's why they turned on him, because they're tired of wins and losses not meaning anything, and they needed to get attention, I guess. decent enough promo there. Brought up a good point. Don't know what they're gonna do from here. Just hopefully we get a good match out of them soon. Next up, we get Jade Cargill versus legit Leyla Hirsch. This was a fun match. I'm a big Jade fan, but I do know that she hasn't shown that much in the ring yet. And so here I was like, okay, this is going to be a legit match for her. And it was, but it was mostly a Leyla Hirsch fighting, doing all the work. And then Jade comes in at the end and picks up the win. But jumping ahead there, so let's start off at the beginning. Leyla looks to get a double leg takedown in. She tries it once, doesn't get it, tries it again, gets it, does some ground and pound to Jade. Leyla would have dived to the outside, but it wasn't clear if Jade pulled Smart Mark in or if Mark took the bullet on accident or if he just took it because he wanted to. But anyways, she dives onto Mark instead of Jade. Leyla back in the ring. Leyla has Jade in the corner. She hits a big meteor to Jade in the corner, kind of like Andrade does. She transitions from that to a pin, and then she transitions that pin into an armbar, and Jade picks her up from the armbar with her still latched onto her. Hits a nice powerbomb, which I always love that spot. Go to commercial break. We come back from the break. Leyla has a sleeper choke in, but Jade just throws her overhead. She looks for that pump kick she normally does, but misses. Leyla gets a German suplex and hits another bottom rope dive, this time actually connecting. Brings Jade back into the ring, gets a great V-trigger. It looks flush for 2. And then here, the finish. Leyla goes for a moonsault, but no one's home. Jade hits a pump kick and that glam slam for the win. Good match. Just, I think it ran a little long. If it was a little bit shorter, maybe not the commercial break, I think it would have been more impactful, especially with just the amount of offense that Jade took in there and didn't really dish out herself. But she was selling. It was a good match. I give it that. Following that, we get one of my favorites, Andrade. He says that he's the kingpin. He does not need Chavo calling orders. I forget the man that's next to him. I always forget his name. But he grabs him by the throat and asks him why he got up on the apron. He said that Chavo told him to do it. And he told him, and Andrade doesn't like this answer, says he's the kingpin. He doesn't need anyone helping him to win matches. So I like this mean streak, and it signals that we're not going to get a replacement manager, if you ask me. I wanted to see Ric Flair become his replacement manager, but I think this is a call for him to be a solo guy. Meanwhile, we go back to commentary. They're doing a little chit chat. Taz comes. This is my favorite. I love this. Absolutely love this. Taz comes and confronts CM Punk. Yells at him, gets right in his face that you're taking my job. It's so good. So Punk gets in his face. Hook is there. Punk and Hook just looking at each other. Hobbs attacks from behind, and he's just beating on him. Punk starts to try to make a comeback, which I hate that every time I've seen Hobbs attack someone from behind, it eventually gets turned on him. I don't like that. Stop doing that. Hobbs needs to be dominant. Anyways, Punk's trying to make a comeback. Hook locks in a dragon sleeper to CM Punk. I never thought I would be saying this. Hook goes, clears off the announce table, tells everyone to leave, and JR is the last to get up. He's like, I don't understand what's happening. Hook is just funny here. So Hook clears off the announce table. Hobbs grabs CM Punk, gives him a spine buster onto the table. It doesn't break, but hey, onto the table. This was fun. This was absolute fun. From Taz coming out there and just getting in Punk's face and yelling at him, the smile on my face lit up. To that spine buster, it was a fun bit. Meanwhile, they come back from a commercial break because they had to clear up. They got to clean up the space. Commercial break, come back. We have a Shawn Spears promo. I think it's one that he already pre-released on Twitter, so I would definitely recommend giving it a watch if nothing else. But yeah, just really good opener for this match as we roll right into Shawn Spears versus Darby Allen. We get a cool entrance for Shawn Spears. I don't know if this is normal entrance or not, but he's like sitting on his chair, obviously, in the middle of the ramp. Then he totally comes by and he stands up, has the chair. He has like this like cloth. It almost looked like a do-rag, but it wasn't tied, so it was just like a cloth on his head. And totally tries to pull it off, and you could tell he kind of caught him because Shawn looked a little surprised there. But anyways, Darby in the ring, he's doing his like Raven Crow sitting in the corner, and Tully distracts Darby, and Shawn just running boot right to Darby's face. It looked nasty. He throws Darby out the ring. Shawn starts to tease at Sting, just getting in his face. He does the woo. Spears. Oh yeah, Spears repositions the stairs. This is going to be a key part of this matchup. He puts it like right at the head of the apron instead of normally in the corner. Then he takes Darby and he mounts him up against the steps and just starts kneeing his head into the steps. And in the first one he does, it sounds like he nailed him flush on accident. And he checks on Darby. Everyone's checking on Darby at that point, but he was fine. So then he backs up a little bit, takes off his knee pad, goes for another knee into the steps, but it backfires. He hits his own knee unprotected onto those steel steps. He flips over the steps and then goes to Tully. Darby goes back into the ring looking for a dive to the outside, but Tully stops him from doing it. And Darby gets onto the apron. Shawn chop blocks Darby on the apron. And this spot was gross. Like, I gasped here. It's just a simple chop block, but Darby does a full 360 and just lands on his head on the apron. Very much not called for, but it was scary. So yeah, he lands on the apron right on his head. Spears gets a rag and starts to wipe off Darby's face paint as we go to commercial. We come back. He barely has any face paint. Come back from commercial. Shawn Spears has Darby in a Scorpion Deathlock. Commentary is really selling that's so disrespectful. Darby gets to the ropes. Darby starts making a comeback and he hits a code red for 2. Spears throws Darby off the top rope by grabbing his chain and just yanking him down because that chain's permanently on. It's what's it called? Welded, welded shut. There's no break on that thing. So he throws him onto the ground. We're on the apron now. This sequence was fast and it was scary. Spears gets Darby up. He looks like he's going to give him that Death Valley driver onto the steps. Darby escapes it and does that stunner he does. Oh, and it was scary. Does the stunner, whiplashes Spears. Spears sitting on the top of those steel steps now. Darby just full speed dive onto Spears. Gets him back in the ring. Hits a coffin drop to Spears' back for 3. This was a fun match. This was my match of the night for sure. But what happened after was even more fun. FTR hit the ring and they attacked Sting and Darby. Sting no-sells a chair shot from Tully Blanchard, and FTR eventually overpowers Sting, and they give him a spike pile driver. Then Tully takes another rag and removes Sting's face paint, and that crowd was hot. It was a good way to end off that match, and I'm excited for whatever this leads to. I'm guessing a Sting Darby FTR match. Very much here for that. As long as FTR doesn't lose, but they will. After a little break, we get Bryan Danielson talking. He says that the Elite are insecure. He says he's going only after Omega. He's here and he's game. Just a small little promo there. Following that, we get a Tony Schiavone interview with Bryan Danielson. It's in the ring. Bryan's in there. Crowd's hot. Bryan goes to talk, and Callis immediately interrupts him. And the crowd start chanting some pretty indecent language that I'm not going to say on the show here at Callis. And Kenny cracks me up. They're saying that at Callis, obviously, and Kenny just points at Bryan. That's you. They're telling you that. Oh, I love it. Callis calls Danielson a mart. Danielson tells him to shut up and that he's only here to talk to Kenny. He says it's not just about the title, it's about who's better. So it kind of takes the title out of this first matchup if they have one. The crowd starts to chant, starts to do the yes chant. Callis tries to stop him, and Bryan calls him a POS, which Bryan drops a lot of curse words in this promo. I love it. Absolutely love it. He gets right in Omega's face, directly challenges to a match. He says, "What's your answer? Yes or no?" Obviously, the crowd chanting yes at this point. Omega picks up the mic and he says, yes. So we are officially getting a Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega match. I mean, as a wrestling fan, can you ask for anything else? This is just so good. Everyone played their part perfectly. And I'm excited to see this matchup. I think I'm expecting a moment like Bryan Danielson's heel turn on AJ Styles on that SmackDown episode where he won the WWE Championship and he did the whole green movement thing. But before the green movement, you remember the match, you remember the low blow and just his antics, his like unhinged personality. I'm kind of expecting this, but not so much in a dirty heel way, but more so in a I'm gonna beat you up because I can't stop beating you up way. Very excited for this matchup. Following that, hard to follow, but following that, we have a Miro promo. If you're going to put anyone after that, you need to put Miro because Miro can talk. Miro accepts the challenge that Fuego put forward. He has this great line. You're putting your throat on the blade that already spared you. Great line there. And it's official. He's accepting Fuego's challenge. So Miro's about to have a title and a new car. So very excited for him. Following that, we have a Matt Hardy promo. He just says he's tired of Orange Cassidy and he's going to shave his head. Which I haven't talked about this feud because I don't understand why shave his head. I don't think it's going to happen, but okay. Lastly, we go on to our main event of the evening. And this was like a 10-minute match because it had to be. They're really pushing their time limit here. Kingston and Moxley versus 2.0 with Daniel Garcia at ringside. As the theme with all 2.0 matches, they try to attack from behind as Kingston and Moxley are making their entrance. But this time they're a little bit more caught. Mox and Eddie know what they're about to do. But Mox gets I believe Parker into the ring, but Eddie still gets beaten up on the outside. So that was unfortunate. Mox takes control in the ring, hits a snap backdrop, suplex to Lee. We get some double team on Mox from Liam Parker. And Mox throws Daniel Garcia into the steps at one point. Mox tries to make a comeback after the commercial break. He nails Lee with a lariat and he gets the hot tag to Eddie. Eddie stacks both members of 2.0 in the corner, starts doing the machine gun chops to Lee, and then a big exploder suplex to Lee. Parker tries to steal a roll-up out of that, but then eats a DDT. And then right into the finish. And as I said this that fast, that's how fast this happened. The finish sees Eddie tagging Mox. He has, I believe, I don't remember who he has hooked. Oh, Jeff. He has Jeff hooked. He does not have Jeff. He has Lee hooked, my autocorrect. He has Lee hooked for the half and half suplex, and Mox hits that lariat. Mox gets the pin for the win. Which, come on, let Eddie get the pin. I mean, come on. Anyways, wild thing starts to play as they're celebrating, and it gets cut off as Kazi Ninare plays. Minoru Suzuki is here, baby. Minoru Suzuki starts to slowly walk out. The crowd, honestly, I felt like they didn't know the song until the beat drop, but that's all right. We get Minoru facing off with Mox. Lance Archer comes out, pulls Kingston out of the ring. They start brawling. Minoru and Mox start brawling, and they go to the outside. Minoru looking to put a gotch pile driver onto the Bellkeeper's table on Mox, but Mox escapes, and we pretty much fade to black with them brawling in the crowd. Decent enough main event. Wasn't anything to write home about, but I am excited for that Mox and Kingston versus Suzuki-Gun matchup. So yeah, like I said at the opening of the show, this show was pretty good. It flew by for the most part. I really enjoyed a lot of the character work with the members of the Elite. We didn't see the Young Bucks tonight, so that was a little bit of a surprise. But nonetheless, we got Adam Cole's debut in-ring match, and we got Omega and Bryan Danielson. I gotta catch myself when I do that. Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega's matchup confirmed, which is happening next Wednesday, I believe. That's gonna be a stacked show. Can't wait to cover that with you guys. So, my match of the night for tonight was Darby Allen versus Shawn Spears. I think Shawn Spears is really one of the most overlooked talents that AEW has. You put him in a ring, he makes magic. This match, his match with Sammy Guevara, and his original match with Darby Allen, all great matchups. He's just a good heel, and he's crisp too in the ring. He just knows how to work with everyone. My spot of the night was the Team Taz beatdown on Punk. I don't know how many people are really a big Team Taz fan, and especially with this storyline. But I don't care because I am. I love Team Taz. I'm a big Team Taz mark, and I love that they're getting involved with Punk because that means Will Hobbs and Punk are gonna have a match, which I'm pretty sure is confirmed for next week on Rampage, or this week on Rampage. It's gonna be Punk and Hobbs. So very much looking forward to that, and I'll cover that on our weekend roundup, as you all know. So overall, I give the show a 3.5 out of 5. There's no stars. Why do you need stars? Just numbers. 3.5 out of 5. Would love to know what you guys thought of the show. Love to hear your guys' fantasy booking scenarios for this Omega Bryan Danielson matchup. And yeah, I'll be sticking around a little bit, but thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us. All of our handles are Hold for Hold. VOD goes up on YouTube. We film everything live. By we, I mean me and y'all. Everything live here on Twitch at Hold for Hold. So it's twitch.tv/Hold for Hold. And if you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon. Bonus content will be uploaded soon. But just $1 a month helps out the show. So I really appreciate it, you guys. And I'm signing off. Goodbye and good night. That's Kenny Omega, but it's mine tonight. So thank you guys so much.